say most people hold the mic?
Yeah, you can hold it if you want to.
You just tell me what is best practice.
Well, you know how some people do that thing where they do this kind of like that, and then it doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
As long as you don't do that.
What if I do the comedian?
The comedian?
Yeah.
I'm into it.
It's always like...
But you got to tell jokes.
You got to tell. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
I pretty much only know Nick Nace's joke.
What's Nick Nace's joke?
He has one he read in New Orleans in a bathroom stall that he's been saying in his shows. It's Bono and Edge walk into a bar and the bartender says, "Oh no, not you two."
That's bad. Hey, Americana Station fans, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm sure you've been watching The Office for the 14th time. You've finished all of New Girl. You're done with Parks and Rec. You've watched all the true crime TV shows and podcasts that you can possibly stomach. And now you've turned to your favorite podcast while you're in isolation from all of the COVID-19 epidemic that is going on in the world currently. It's affecting us all. It's affecting us here in the music industry in Nashville. Right after we got hit by a tornado just last week. So I'm going to go into that a little bit in this. Normally I like to keep it light and fun. I don't like to get too serious, but a lot of things have happened in the last 2 weeks that have really hit the music community in Nashville really hard. First, I can attest to the complete and utter disaster that happened 2 weeks ago with the tornado. I was about to go to sleep. It was about 1 a.m, and luckily my phone went off and awoke me. And I have a basement. We ran down to it. I live in East Nashville, not very far from where everything happened. My roommate was actually in the middle of the chaos, and somehow the tornado skipped over where he was at his job in 5 Points. It did hit right down the street from him. It killed 2 people in 5 Points, and it was pretty horrendous and scary and terrifying. It killed dozens and dozens of people in its path, and decimated hundreds of homes along the way. A lot of relief efforts were going on. People were doing some amazing concerts to help fund people. The people loving Nashville were picking up donations and are picking up donations. You should Google them and look them up because they've been helping out the community a lot, trying to get tarps for the houses so that the rain didn't get in, trying to get these people clothing and necessities, food, and just some sort of kind of peace and clarity of mind in these troubling times. And then, of course, as the world knows, whether you're in Nashville or in Italy or in UK or in China, you know exactly what's going on currently with the coronavirus and all of the insanity that ensued with that. Despite your personal opinion or your political views, this is a huge pandemic that's going on, and it has affected us all. It's affected the musical community at large hugely. Everyone from lights and sound and front of house people, tour managers, to the biggest artists, to the smallest ones like me, and all the people that are on this podcast have been affected by it. If you were not economically affected, I strongly suggest that you go right now to Nathan Evans Fox's page, buy his record, buy it, buy his merch, buy his t-shirts, buy everything you can from him, from Kellen of Troy, who's coming up on the podcast, from Boo Ray, from all these people that are in this community who have been affected by all these awful things and now cannot tour. If you want to go to any of these pages. I will make sure to post all of the guests that have been on here and some other helpful information on my Facebook page. And we will be posting a lot more stuff in the future. Unfortunately, the first weekend of the Whiskey and Wildflower tours with Veronica Stanton and I has been canceled in Louisiana for March 27th through the 29th. So those dates have been at least postponed and will be rescheduled for a later date at some point, I'm sure. And we're still monitoring the situation, and we'll see what happens in April and May, because we have another month-long tour coming along the East Coast and up in Kentucky and such. So we've all been devastated by this. If you want to help out, buy merch, buy my merch, buy Blu-rays merch, buy Nathan Evans Fox's merch. And not even the people that are currently on the podcast. A lot of my friends have been affected by this. Anyone that you can think of that you've heard of that you know doesn't have a record deal but stays out on the road, please hit them up, give them a meal, buy their merch, listen to their music, share their record with other people. Spotify doesn't really pay very much. They're actually supposed to be in court right now to fight the increase on songwriters. So we may get even less than we should well deserve off of some streaming platforms, including Spotify and Amazon, in the midst of all of this chaos. So just do what you can, and really let's help out this musical community, because you may lose your favorite songwriter to just debt. Honestly, with all this going on, you may lose your favorite songwriter. They may put down their guitar and not be able to write another song and put another record out, because we just can't afford to be in this climate right now, with only making a couple $100 a show and all those shows getting canceled. We're going to have to look into seriously restructuring our lives so that we can make money, take no longer just having a part-time job when we come back, but actually some of these songwriters might not be able to afford to tour anymore if this keeps up. So do whatever you can to help out if you have the monetary ability to do so. And let's talk about Nathan Evans Fox.
We got sparks, gasoline. Maybe baby loving you makes me mean.
Growing up in Glen Alpine, North Carolina, immersed in country, rock, bluegrass, and hymns, Fox synthesizes his musical roots to produce a sound all of his own. He's been writing music, playing fiddle and guitar, and collaborating with other musicians for over 10 years. Fox's lyrics confront the difficulties in his cultural and religious heritage with quiet grief, incisive anger, and unexpected wit. Above all, he is a storyteller whose narrative landscapes are at once familiar and strange. He has written, produced, and performed 2 full-length albums, Home in 2017 and Texas Dust in 2018. Currently, Fox is premiering songs from his upcoming album, Kindness, set to be released in 2020. Fox recently moved to Nashville with his best friend and wife, Elizabeth, and their dog, Maisie. Here's Nathan Evan Fox.
Chris Moyes had one about whales or something when he tunes. I can't remember. Have you heard him do that one?
No.
It's pretty bad.
I believe it.
But, you got to do something.
Yeah, you got to kill some time. I just mumble. I just say random shit.
Yeah. I usually just self-deprecate.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah.
Then play sad songs and make people feel bad.
Yeah. I do a lot of especially when it's just me solo, because I don't do high energy solo as well as I do low energy.
Yeah.
I'm just well, all my songs are about grief and trauma, so I hope you have fun. And then just do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm setting expectations, but also people are laughing because,
Yeah.
because I'm an idiot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I had a song where I was like, this is a song about me getting my heart broken and crying in a bar parking lot. And then this guy in the crowd was like, just sounds like Saturday night to me. And I was like, oh shit, now I feel good about myself.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. Yeah. So welcome to Americana Station. I've got Nathan Evans Fox with me. He just released a new record. It's called Kindness.
Yeah.
He brought the house down at Bowery Vault here in Nashville, Tennessee this past weekend. And now he's going to go bring the house down on the rest of the world, or literally bring everyone down.
Yes, that's the goal.
With the sadness.
Career goals.
Yeah. So you self-produced this record.
Mm-hmm.
Played all the instruments except for dobro and bass, right?
Yeah, I didn't do any BGVs for myself.
Right.
So, yeah. So we had people come in and sing, had people play bass, had people, somebody played pedal steel as well. But fiddle, mandolin, banjo, guitar, all that stuff. Drums, which was the dumbest decision of my life. Yeah, I did all that.
How long did the project take for you?
It took a minute. I set out in October of 2018, and I thought I was going to go record it over the course of like a week. And I spent 2 days tracking banjo parts because I just started playing banjo.
Yeah.
And then kind of promptly gave up for a little bit and realized that the scope of the project was going to be much larger, because I had to kind of come into I had to both figure out kind of where I wanted to go. I wanted to lean a little bit outside of folk, but I was a little scared doing it because my last record was aggressively folky, in my opinion. So I kind of had to like come to terms with myself in that way, and also kind of come to terms with the fact that I had some things I wanted to learn, and this was going to be the best way to do it. So It took about a year and a half or 2 years to like really mull through a lot of my indecision. It was worth it.
Yeah.
But it was a dark hole.
Did you mix and master it as well?
I mixed it. Did not master it, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff Carroll of Bluefield Mastering out in Raleigh, he did it. He did a great job and put up with a lot of my crazy, because by the end of the process, I was completely falling apart, and was so disoriented I couldn't see, my up from down. So he did a really wonderful job with it, though.
That's awesome. And you're originally from North Carolina?
Yeah. I'm from Morganton / Glen Alpine, North Carolina. It's just like drive-through country in the western part of the state. No one stops there.
No.
It was it's after the recession for 5 years straight, 2008 to 2013, it was ranked the number 5 most depressing place to live in the US.
I want to know what number 1 was.
I don't know. That's a good question. I was just so proud. I think I just quit reading at 5. I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. What's funny, because Louisiana was ranked for a couple of years in a row the happiest place to live. And then my parents' hometown was the happiest place in the state. So they literally lived in like the happiest city. But it's a miserable, like I got out at 18. I don't understand why people are so happy there. I was so miserable.
They're just like deluded.
Yeah. It's just like a small retirement community. It's super boring. There's nothing to do. Like one bar in the town kind of thing.
Yeah. Maybe only the happy stay.
Yeah, maybe that's true. I mean, I had to get out because maybe I'm just depressed no matter where I go.
That's true. Yeah. Same. Exactly.
So you grew up in North Carolina, and then you moved to Texas?
I moved around a whole lot. So I actually grew up on family land right next to my grandmother. So like all my cousins and aunts and uncles had been raised on the same spot that I was raised up. And then moved to New York City to actually get a seminary degree, which worked out really well.
Yeah.
It's for being a songwriter. And so moved from North Carolina to New York City, which was quite a jump. But I ended up really, I love New York. It's really incredible.
Do you know Nick from New York?
I don't actually. Because
Really?
I hadn't even I'd always kind of been playing music, but I was just kind of like, just goofing off, just kind of picking in my bedroom and stuff and writing songs instead of going to therapy and that kind of thing.
Right.
And then at some point in seminary, I had some friends start a band, and I was like, man, when I get out of here, I just want to make music and see even if it's just kind of for fun. I want to like make a record.
Yeah.
So I left seminary and moved to Houston, Texas, and that was when I started up in
Why Houston?
2016. My wife got a job there.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. I think that's why a lot of people move to Houston. I
Yeah.
don't think it's got like a lot of draw outside of like there's work there.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to move to Texas, Houston's the last city I would want to go to.
100%.
Yeah. No offense, Houston listeners.
No offense, Houston, but if you listen to my records, you know how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, Houston's about 3 hours outside of Lafayette, so we would go there, and I just remember always being like really disappointed with the music there. Just not like the quality of the music, but just the live music scene, and yeah, I don't know. It just seemed very.
It's weird because there's definitely some good venues and there's definitely some talented folks there.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, like some of the shows I went to, some of the crowds were driving me nuts.
Really?
Like, yeah, like I saw Mandolin Orange there and couldn't hear them once. And people were making like, I'd rather go see, Frontierland, Bernstein Bears or whatever, like
Yeah.
wild comments. Just like stuff like that. It's odd. And I think it's also, I mean, I think it's part of it's also got to be odd because you have Austin not that far away.
Right.
But like Houston definitely has its own even musical identity.
Yeah.
And then like venues like the Old Quarter are now in Galveston. So it's
yeah.
just kind of like a different vibe.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because then you moved to Atlanta, right? After
Yeah.
that, you moved to the two like hip hop cities.
Yeah,
and
I did.
folk music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean like I love Atlanta, and there's so much good music in Atlanta, but like the folk Americana scene there is just not as healthy as I think it is in a lot of other places.
Yeah, I've always known it to be more like in the indie realm. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you want to do like indie music or hip hop,
Yeah.
like just go to Atlanta. It's the best place. I mean, in general, like if you want to just live a dope life, move to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just don't plan on making. The only thing you shouldn't do is make the music I make and move to Atlanta. Otherwise, it's like a perfect city.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long did you live in Atlanta?
Lived there for like 2 years.
2 years.
So like my wife's from kind of the suburbs. She went to grad school down there.
Okay.
So, I mean, I spent so much time in Atlanta before then.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of in the South. You kind of go. There's not a lot of major cities in the South in general, especially the Southeast.
Yeah.
So you kind of just end up going to Atlanta anyway. Like everybody has a reason to go. So I was pretty familiar with it, and really love it, and still feel like in a way it's kind of like a second or a third home. It's
Yeah.
somewhere there's like this triangle. Like Nashville's really starting to feel like home, but North Carolina is definitely where my roots are. But Atlanta feels very like Atlanta's like what I wish I could be. North Carolina's like my id. It's just like all the trashy part of me. And I think Nashville might be like a more accurate representation of where I am between my aspiration and like just the worst of me.
That's so interesting. For me, Louisiana doesn't have a very strong Americana scene either. There's a growing one in New Orleans, which has been great, but there's just never been really one in Lafayette at all. And so I obviously couldn't stay there because it wasn't going to help my career. And I moved here and like instantly it was like there was a group of people that knew exactly what you're doing and like could help like sharpen me to be a better version of that. But
yeah.
I found that Cincinnati and like the Kentucky, West Virginia area, that general area has been like really, really good to me.
See, I got to really get up there.
Yeah,
I've spent just a little bit of time in Kentucky, and what I've seen of it, I've loved. Never been to Ohio or anything like that.
They get it, man. They get it. They
All
really
right.
do. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Atlanta, I feel like there's pockets,
Mhm.
and I've done well
Oh yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for being such a big city, it seems like there should be more people
Yeah.
invested in that.
I mean, I think that was my feeling of it too. It's one of the largest cities in the U.S. and the scene is just. I think part of it is there's kind of a drain to Nashville because it's so close.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people, if they can, they just head on up there.
Yeah.
So
that
it just kind
happens
of makes
with
it a little bit harder.
Knoxville and Chattanooga and all that too.
Yeah.
You know? Like there are some great players out there, but they
Yeah.
all end up in Nashville as well.
Oh, totally. And those are great cities. I mean, I love Chattanooga.
I think with Kentucky and West Virginia in that area is like they have more to prove because they're like, we have good music. We're not
Yeah.
going to Nashville. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like the anti-Nashville kind of like,
Oh yeah, yeah. You're
Vibe.
seeing that with like a lot of the folks that are making it big out of there now.
yeah.
But in Atlanta, it was cool to not be the. It was cool to be the not coolest thing in town.
Yeah.
Like to be doing the thing that was kind of, you had to prove yourself a little bit. And I think part of that really sucked and was demoralizing.
Yeah.
But I also, it also pushed my writing a lot and made me ask real questions about, because to me, like, I don't feel like I'm making art in some kind of weird way. Like, I just want to make stuff that I enjoy, that does work for me, and that like other folks can connect to.
Yeah.
And that being said, like I think I still lean artsy on a lot of things, but like all my songs aren't about just like taking shots at the bar, but like it did push me to think about like what people were enjoying and what I was willing to really like stake a reputation on, or like
Yeah.
where like what those lines of like you would have fun at this show or you wouldn't,
Right.
which was like really, really, really helpful. Probably wouldn't want to do that forever, but it was a really helpful season.
Yeah. Yeah. You only have one, I think you only have one whiskey reference on the new record, right?
That's big for me.
Yeah. That's
big.
I was going to say, like, you're doing good. I got to have at least 3 or 4. You know?
Yeah. Well, I have a whole song about Moonshine, but it's more production of Moonshine. You know, it's about the work of it. People hear Moonshine songs, they think it's about getting drunk, and really, I think it's about just like it's about
That's
work.
some hard work.
Yeah.
And not getting caught.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more political than it is just like anything else.
It's a political, anthem, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you said that you definitely love pop country and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is one of the first on my podcast that has openly admitted that you're into pop country and stuff like that. But I definitely feel like I think it was the Moonshine song that you're talking about that has kind of like a real like almost borderline modern country sound to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had written that because I was playing in Georgia, so it was between like Atlanta and Augusta and Athens and different places in the South, and like where there's not a songwriter scene, you got to sell drinks, even if you're gonna play originals.
Yeah.
And so I had to have something kind of up tempo that was on that line. I really do love pop country, but I'm not a fan of like totally selling my soul.
Right.
I'm a fan of having fun.
Yeah.
And feeling good, but not like having like wild sexist stuff in my songs and all that.
Right.
But like, so like I wrote that song because it was, to me, it's like a coded song about like labor and criminality and also kind of like family traditions and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also about moonshine, and it's just kind of, it's got that like edge, that like I could also produce it in a way that could be really rootsy and gritty, or really just like, this is country music.
Yeah. That's my thought on it, is like you definitely produced it in a more rootsy way, but I could totally hear like the overproduction with the slick guitars and the, like
Yeah.
one of those guys, Luke Combs or something.
Hit me up, Luke.
Yeah.
He's from North Carolina.
Shout out Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like my North Carolina dudes. I like Luke's music. And then Eric Church is like, I listen to like weird post-hardcore stuff. And then I listen to like Eric Church. Like, I love his music, but his music sounds so much like North Carolina to me. It's not just like country. It's like all of the kind of influences I grew up around.
I get that. Yeah. I think him and then, what's his name? Dierks Bentley both have like a more authentic, modern country sound than a lot of and Luke Combs, than a lot of the guys. But it's hard to turn on the radio and hear anything good. So it's nice to hear some of those guys where there's actually acoustic guitars and deeper lyrics.
Although I got nothing against an 808 in a country song. I think it's kind of fun.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I guess that's modern country, though. Everything progresses, so you can't be mad about it. But that's kind of the Americana and all that movement is going against that and going back to the traditional.
I mean, my thing on this is like, I don't know if we want to go off the deep end on this or not, but
Let's do
my
it.
thing is that all this stuff we call traditional music, the vast majority of it has always been pop. Like bluegrass is a relatively new invention,
Yeah.
and it was really like synchronizing jazz, blues, and old time music.
Yeah.
And I mean, the people that invented it, like that first generation, they just died. Some of them are still here even.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's really not this kind of ancient music. You listen to like old country records and they were mimicking a lot of like popular forms, and it's always kind of traced pop music. So like, to me, it's like, I don't feel like we need to revert back. Like, I still want to have the stuff that I love about that old music in there. Like, I want to have cool guitar licks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to have a little bit of twang. But like, I don't feel like what am I defending in country music? Like, it's always kind of been a contemporary, like it's been a part of its contemporaries. But that doesn't mean that like I don't want people still loving like the old Patsy Cline stuff, you know?
Right. Well, I think the new country has just gotten urbanized, so it doesn't really reflect the more rural music that used to be, that a lot of these people were singing about. And I think that that's why people like Tyler Childers are really resonating, because he lives in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia and sings about it. So it's like, oh, cool, something that's real and feels real. It's not like, you know, some guy who lives in Nashville and a, you know, tall, skinny, writing about being in the country when he's never been in the country.
Right. Totally. I think I like yes and, because for me, like, I love Tyler Childers and what he's doing, and I love that vein. And then there's also this level of people that like of discourse where I hear a lot of people saying like that in a way that excludes everything else. Yeah. And to me, like, I grew up in the country, and it was as much like the country now is as much like Mountain Dew and SoundCloud rap as it is, you know, like, so like there's a part of like,
that's fair.
I just like, I mean, to be honest, sometimes I worry that folks want to make country music white again. Like there's this kind of weird like conservatism. Yeah. That isn't just like aesthetic. Like, I'm totally here. If you're just like, man, I want some like old school pedal steel and stuff on it. Like, hell yeah, let's do that. But then sometimes I just get a little worried that like there's this like what are we, like, who are we telling ourselves we are when we also want to like pretend that our lives have never been like, rural folks don't work in factories, aren't with machines. We're not, most of us, farmers anymore. We consume, you know, plastic goods. It's not all like overalls and like compostable materials. So I you know, that's the complexity that like I don't have sorted out. But I'm trying to like,
well, that's thematically. I think for me, it's more like I just really love the rootsy acoustic music. So putting an 808 in, that for me doesn't make sense. But then there's, you know, who's the guy that used to play for Alison Krauss? He did that album with all the like electronic. God, what's his name? I can't think of it right now, but I'm gonna remember it later. Yeah. But I'm blanking too. You know who I'm talking about though? Yeah. Yeah. And he did a bunch of, like, he did a whole album of like electronic bluegrass stuff, which is, it sounds great. Yeah. But it's just weird. Yeah. And I would never want to do that. Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's also unfamiliar. And part of, I think, like, music has to have a little bit of comfort food in it, I think, for most people. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's this whole thing I'm trying to like swim in and figure out like where the cultural lines are, where the like aesthetic lines are, and what the kind of broader discourse is. Because I love all that old time stuff. Yeah. But also, man, like, you know, every once in a while I'll cut on like a you and your
Bryan
band
song.
did really well with the old time, with the, you know, you had the clawhammer banjo.
Oh, I got some pickers
fiddle.
up there. Yeah. Most of those guys are like, you know, they're going to like Swannanoa Gathering and stuff. And most of those players that I had with me, I met because I originally thought I was going to be a newgrass band. So I was looking for, I was looking for some
Same
pickers.
Actually.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
My first record was like very like, I wanted to be newgrass, but I just wasn't, because I wasn't raised in that.
Yeah. Right.
But,
yeah. Exactly. But at some point, bluegrass is like, I love it, but it's like, I'm not going to do it better than
what's already being done.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, they're killing it.
You got Mandolin Orange. You don't need me.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And like, some people get real mad if you call them bluegrass. You know, it's like, it's this whole thing, this whole world. Yeah. And I'm going to leave it to those that can do it well.
Yeah. I've met some old guys from like South Carolina where you even mention Punch Brothers and they get real angry, you know?
Yeah. It's incredible. It's really like the layers of the bluegrass world. It's a very deep rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's an onion with like infinite layers.
Yeah, it's that way in the Cajun world too. Where there's like the traditionalists, and then there's the people that are like, all the new stuff that's coming out. It's very like, the people that keep it. It has to only, like, if it's a traditional Cajun, it only has fiddle. There's no accordion, or like then there's the
Really?
people that, yeah.
Wow.
Because like I think traditionally it was accordion wasn't brought in until, I don't know. I don't know all the actual facts, but like it was Germans that came and brought it in at a certain time. So like a lot of people.
Okay.
It's like triangle, fiddle, and guitars. Like I think traditional,
Interesting.
old school Cajun music, and
That's fascinating.
but then some people play with accordion and.
Is accordion considered like Zydeco? Like, I don't know how this stuff breaks down.
The way that most Louisianans would explain it is Zydeco is more African American influenced. It's going to have more dancey beats. It's going to have like a little bit more R&B or blues feel to it. Like you can really like feel the groove to it.
Yeah.
And Cajun music's usually typically white people.
Yeah.
With less rhythm. It's a little bit more staccato or whatever. Like, and yeah, that's typically how people explain it. That's not 100% accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's fascinating. I only got like a taste of it living in Houston, just
Yeah.
because of the kind, like the way that folks have kind of migrated between like Louisiana and East Texas, and like just along the Gulf.
yeah,
But I have like no. It's just so, growing up in Western North Carolina, not a lot of like Cajun or Zydeco or anything like that
yeah.
happening.
And someone listening, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's just what I've been explained.
Yeah.
Kind of. Hold on one second. So I want to talk a little bit about your songwriting. How does that process work for you? I like to kind of dig into this because I feel like everyone does it differently. But is that something you do on a daily basis, or just when the mood strikes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to like expose your innards to the world is to bang your head against a wall every day until something comes out. So yeah, like I show up every day to my guitar with words, and I'm usually very frustrated with what comes out. But every once in a while I kind of stumble onto something. I think it really, the songs that I like most that have come out, I think the best. I mean, sometimes it's really just like, I need a song in my set that does this, and it's just got to be dumb, and I have an idea for it, and I just work it out. But a lot of times, to be honest, if I'm angry about something, or I'm just really troubled, if I just kind of sit with that feeling for a while, like things that I'm feeling but I haven't put words to yet, the economy of like music and rhyme and all that. Yeah, is normally what's most generative for me.
Yeah, you're trying to like place everything perfectly, but also express this idea.
Oh yeah, it's so true. And like for me, there's like a whole category of song where like I want to do everything but name the name. Like I've had bad bosses that I just like reference a lot in songs and things. Yeah, and I don't say their name, but it's like there's this kind of like I want to keep some kind of like edge in it. Like I want to know who it is that I'm dissing, or like I want to know what it is that I'm grieving, or whatever it is, in like a very particular way, which I think sometimes puts people out of the song. Yeah, but I don't care.
No, I think people still can draw back into that, but that's interesting because sometimes I'll be feeling something about this thing way over here on this side, and then write something really good about something that is unrelated. Because I just am in that zone, like where it's too close to home and maybe not figured out yet. Yeah. Like I haven't figured out why I'm so upset or whatever. Yeah. So like you put it on something else and it like really, it makes it a stronger song because I'm already in that emotion. Yeah. So that's like one tactic that I've used a lot, is just like, especially if I'm like not complete, like it's just the issue hasn't resolved, whatever I'm like mad about. If it's my boss and I'm pissed about my boss, then I might be pissed about, something else over here. Yeah.
I think I just end up iterating like 5 songs on the same thing.
Yeah.
That's like basically like if you listen closely to my records, I don't normally change topics much. It's like 5 things, and I'm just going to keep complaining about it. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember I guess it was your previous record. There's a lot of songs about Texas,
Yeah. There's
and
a
then
lot of
this new one. There's a lot about Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Place is big for me too.
yeah,
Just being like growing up on family land in a place that is very beautiful, but it's kind of culturally weird.
yeah.
Like places just become a big thing for me, and I think it's how I tend to relate to the world anyway.
So the next record's gonna be a Nashville record.
Oh, I've already started writing Tennessee songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's Texas is an easy word to sing. Georgia's not, Carolina's not, Tennessee is.
Yeah, you can rhyme everything with Tennessee.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. And it has there's such a rich history of people singing Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's just like, it might even be too overdone.
You know what's funny is that, like, if you asked me about New Orleans, I'm gonna say New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
But if I sing it, I'm gonna say New Orleans, just because it
yeah.
rhymes so much better. And I feel like everyone does that. Even
Yeah.
people in New Orleans,
Yeah.
they'll say New Orleans. No one says New Orleans. No one.
My friend Rachel Lavin she's like from San Antonio. She always listens when people try to rhyme or talk about San Antonio.
Yeah.
Because she's like, if they really mean it, it's San Antonio and not San Antone. Because it's like, you really want to say San Antonio because nothing really rhymes with it.
Yeah.
So it's like a cool thing to listen for now. I still say San Antone. I can't.
Yeah.
San Antonio is one of my favorite cities, but
Well,
I don't
just-
love it enough to try to like force some weird Eminem level slant rhymes.
Right. Yeah. There's just one too many syllables.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
Do you ever do that where you force some extra syllables because you just like the way you said the phrase?
All the time.
Yeah.
I think that's my problem.
That is my problem
My
too.
problem is that I'm too wordy. So I've started doing this thing where we were just rehearsing with the band for this album release show, and a number of people that play with me, I think my phrasing's totally normal,
Yeah.
like musically, and it kind of throws them off because every once in a while I'll just add like an extra half a bar. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not done saying this sentence. So
Yeah.
if it ends up being a little offbeat, We're just going to get to what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that happened on my new record with this song "Bound for Glory," and there's one extra beat at the kind of turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all 4/4, and then there's a 5/4 bar in there. And then we're recording. They're like, "Did you mean to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't think about
This
it."
doesn't feel natural to you.
Yeah,
It's totally organic.
right. Yeah, makes so much sense. So then we had to go and retrack it again because there's like one extra bar at every turnaround.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
So you play fiddle, banjo, guitar. What
Yeah.
else? Piano.
Yeah, I hold down keys a little bit. My mom's a piano player, so I grew up watching her do that.
Do you
I'm-
write on piano, or do you just
Yeah.
transpose to?
The long-term goal is that when I'm not making cool music, I'm not making cool music. I'm making folk.
Yeah, you are,
Americana.
man. You're making cool
But
music.
you know, when I'm
Yeah.
not done making air quotes cool music, and I'm just too old, I'm going to just transition straight into writing like Randy Newman level
yeah.
songs, because I really love writing on piano, and it's a whole different vibe, because
Yeah.
you can just like really color things in a way that I don't think you can with guitar and other things, just because you're using one hand.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true. Yeah, you can do a lot more of those bass notes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
being solo on piano is a lot more filling most times.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I'm trying to incorporate some of that into my set
Yeah.
without hopping around instruments too much.
Yeah.
I
I
did-
used to be in a duo that, it turned into a full band, but where I was playing banjo, mandolin,
Yeah.
guitar, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and like, yeah, it just sucks bringing
It's
all
too
that
much.
stuff, setting all that stuff up.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's the worst. And at some point it's like legitimately distracting for everyone.
Right.
Like it's cool when you do it once or twice, but
Yeah.
then I watched somebody play a show and it was a great show, but I think he had written songs on 6 different instruments, and he went back and forth. Like in the last half of the set was like dobro, and then it was piano, and then it was like resonator, and then it was some weird ukulele,
Yeah.
and they were all wonderful songs, but I couldn't concentrate because I never felt like I got in kind of a mood.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
You know.
You remember back in like I guess it was 2010s whenever like every folk band would switch instruments every song.
Oh, would they do that?
Maybe it was just like on the Gulf Coast it was a thing or something like that, but it would be so annoying because like everyone switched instruments and they weren't always good at the instrument they switched to.
Right.
And so like half the set was just these bands switching instruments. I don't know if that was just a Gulf Coast thing or.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I was following music in the folk scene well enough in 2010. I was still on like a weird Wolf Parade kick.
Yeah.
So
that was around when like the Magnetic Zeros and all in Mumford and Sons started getting popular, and then everyone just decided to switch instruments all the time.
Oh man. Yeah. Everybody all of a sudden started sounding like Mumford. You went like a freak folk route, or you went like that Mumford route, that like almost like going to church with the banjo route.
Yeah. That was, when I tell people that, some people don't get it. I'm like, dude, they sound like a church band that just decided to play banjo.
100%.
Yeah.
I grew up like that was what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's all of that. I was like, this is very recognizable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then anywhere you went after that, if you played banjo, people were like, "Oh, you like Mumford and Sons?"
You like Mumford and Sons?
Oh
Yeah.
God, no.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing. No, not really.
Yeah, that's why I mostly stick with clawhammer. There's
That makes
also
sense.
clawhammer. I love old time music. I think it's just there's something like really raw in the sound of it, and just so like aggressively humanistic about it.
Yeah.
And there's something about clawhammer in particular that I think's just it's just so beautiful, and it's so there's like this vulnerability to it.
Yeah.
That like your 3-finger roll just can't get.
Right.
I don't know. I get weird and emotional every time I hear clawhammer.
Yeah. You can definitely, well, because it's percussive and it's like it's pretty sustaining on its own,
Mm-hmm.
and it's melodic.
Yeah.
And you only have 5 strings.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And it's like all the notes just die off right there. You know, there's kind of this like, I say the banjo's an atheist's instrument because like you don't feel like you see all of eternity. You just feel like, well, this note dies in a second, and I just got to enjoy that. But yeah, love banjo.
It's a great instrument. I'm not good at it, but
Oh, me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither. But I still play it.
but I still play it. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I definitely don't do any of the bluegrass stuff. People always assume when you pull out a banjo that you know how to play bluegrass.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
We ain't all flat and scruggs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless your hearts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always a little flat on it, but I'm definitely not. Hey.
I like that.
You can use that one.
More dad jokes.
More
please.
dad jokes. More Nace jokes.
Yes.
Oh man. So tour, what do you got coming up in 2020? This will probably be out in March. So
Yeah.
you got any March, April dates?
I got an album release show in my kind of like my holy trinity of cities. So we just did Nashville, going to Atlanta on the 19th and going to Asheville on the 13th of March.
Nice.
And then kind of doing some weekend runs around the South, like Clemson and Greenville and spots like that. Going down to Panama City. Shout out Panama City, Florida. It's
nice.
It's low key a really great music. The Gulf really, I mean, you know, like the Gulf has some good stuff going on.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I never would have thought it, but man, it's impressive.
I have to look into Panama City now.
Yeah. Just hop right over from Mobile to Panama City.
Yeah.
You know?
Mobile's great too. Yeah. We talked about that last time.
Yeah. Shout out Mobile.
Shout out Mobile. They love music.
Oh, they really do. They make killer music down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think going up north, hitting up like New York, Boston, Vermont, all that. I'm just trying to kind of piece it together right now. I toured pretty hard last year, put out this record, and so trying to catch my breath for a little bit, and also be in a new city and not be gone too much. But I've also already started working on some new stuff that is really leaning into my love for both emo music and pop country.
Great.
just gonna be like putting a little test balloon up in there.
Some farm emo.
Yeah, farm emo.
You can use that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hat for sure.
Yeah. I was at work one day and this 19-year-old kid put on something. It was like John Moreland or something like that. And he's like, "You really love that farm emo," and I was like, "I'm using that."
Yeah. Shout out to that 19-year-old.
Shout out to the 19-year-old.
He knows. I mean, that's old time music, though. You know, it was just
Yeah.
like farm emo. It's like, man, everybody dies in these hollers. Let's just make some sad songs
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. You just make you either you drink about it or you make sad songs about it,
Or you usually do both, I think.
or both. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. I like to multitask like that.
What's your favorite song on the new record? Do you have a favorite?
Well, you know,
I know they're all your babies.
oh no, they're all they're all like my prodigal children, if they're my children at all.
You're illegitimate
Yeah, I'm
bastards.
those bastards. What have I got up? I kind of think. Well, I think the one I enjoy playing most because I think people connect to it, especially in North Carolina, is Cigarettes and Moon Pies.
Yeah.
The one that I feel like I kind of came into my own on though is I Want You. Like production wise, I'm pretty happy with some of the things I did there.
That's a great one. Yeah. That was your first single, right?
It was like my second or third.
Oh.
The very first one was like very banjo forward. It was like banjo pop,
Yeah.
Americana. Yeah.
So like Mumford and Sons type stuff.
Sure.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are my two favorite right now.
Would you play one of them for us?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Awesome.
Let's make it happen. All right. This one is Cigarettes and Moon Pies. Give me whiskey in the morning. Give me coffee in the evening. Give me snapbacks and cracker jacks and other things that I believe in. And you can crack this jack and snap back at the things you swear I lack. I will love you more, babe, every day. Give me cigarettes in the afternoon. Read me Faulkner when I get real blue. And the moon's as big as moon pies, rising high in that marble light sky. And I will bring you peaches that were picked out in Georgia, RC colas I picked up old 64. Well, I ain't good at much, nothing. I hope getting good at loving. I hope getting good at letting you love me. And I tell you about them good old days when Richard Petty ran a raceway, and he was king and I was prince. Only problem, I wasn't born back then, and you would just smoke rising high. Your parents didn't know, but I knew that I was meant to love you, babe. Oh, and I will bring you Emmylou and Doc Watson. We'll see who plays who, and you can drag your needle across my heart and cross-stitch upon my skin when I get cross and I don't give in. Babe, I need your name upon my heart. Well, I ain't good at much or nothing. I hope getting good at loving. I hope getting good at letting you love me. I ain't good at much or nothing. I hope getting good at loving. I hope getting good at letting you love me. So stay into these sheets with me, be the place that we should be. I'll be the briars in the berry patch, and I'll pull them old blue jeans back, and I will be your huckleberry, or whatever country song you carry. We'll both learn something about being free. Oh, the sun has dropped itself on me, you're sweeter than the sweetest thing. And I see your face on every sign up 181, and the muscadines all have your smile, so I keep them in my mouth most times. Go out looking for that wholesome seed, 'cause I ain't good at much or nothing. I hope getting good at loving. I hope getting good at letting you love me. I ain't good at much or nothing. I hope I'm getting good at loving. I hope
getting good at letting you love me.
All right, thanks so much, Nathan, for stopping by. I know that he had to postpone his album release in Georgia this week because of the COVID-19 and everything going on. So make sure you pick up a copy of his new record. It's great if you stream it on Spotify. It really is. It helps. But, you know, nothing helps more than just buying the actual record, the physical record. So do that. Buy one of his shirts. Buy whatever else he's got going on his website, NathanEvansFox.com, I believe. Just do it out of kindness. You know, that's the name of the record. And he's a very kind person. So just return the favor and help him out monetarily as these tough times are happening. You can visit my website, willpayneharrison.com. The podcast is on there. If you do willpayneharrison.com, there's a podcast tab. Tour dates are still up. As of now, we haven't touched April. We are watching carefully to see what's going to happen with all that. As I said in the beginning, unfortunately, I will not be getting home to my Louisiana friends this month. We had to postpone some of those dates for a later time, as many people are having to do right now. In a couple of weeks, we'll have Kellen of Troy on the podcast. I'm really excited to have him. He was an incredible guest. He was actually here today at the Americana Station podcast headquarters, a.k.a. my house. And we had a good time. He played a couple of tunes for me. We'll be putting those up online to promote the episode. And we've got some more exciting people. Amanda Broadway band. Amanda Broadway is going to be stopping by soon. And yeah, we're going to just keep on trucking because you know what? Even in quarantine, you can still talk, right? So, and you can still listen. So make sure you click that follow button on whatever you're listening to this on right now. Probably Spotify or Apple Music, I imagine. So yeah, do that and we will see you next time. Thank you.